Hi. In the last 50 years of my professional life, I participated in a large number of institutional evaluation, or you may call it a review of institutions, largely academic institutions, as well as Government of India programs. First, I must mention the most interesting experience I had was evaluating the entrepreneurship development programs in Gujarat, which almost lasted for about 9 months. An interdisciplinary team from IIM, including a professor of sociology, a professor of finance and accounting, and a professor from entrepreneurship, as well as some bankers and entrepreneurs. We constituted an interdisciplinary team and reviewed the program, which marked a very important step. Ultimately, it led to the formation of the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. Later, when the Government of India started the National Adult Education Program and gave lots of funds to voluntary agencies, they wanted to know if the funds are being utilized, if adult education is taking place, and so on. There are three of us from IIM Ahmedabad: Professor T.P. Ramarao, an IT specialist, Professor Anil Bhatt, a public systems person, and myself. Three of us constituted the team. We went around Rajasthan, traveled, visited institutes, went to the villages, actually observed the adult education centers in operation, and came up with our evaluation of the National Adult Education Program. This helped the Government of India in a big way because they used our research findings and the methodology to be replicated in other states and decided granting of the further assistance for voluntary agencies. And another interesting experience I had as a member of the Committee for Future Directions in IIM Ahmedabad, chaired by Dr. S. Rangarajan, and had members like Professor V.S. Vyas and others. At the time, I happened to be one of the younger faculty members, but the institute ensured that the review committee, the Committee for Future Directions, consisted of both senior faculty as well as younger faculty. That is why it is very important to have a cross section of team from multiple disciplines to constitute something like a review committee. Later, when I joined XLRI Jamshedpur, I suggested to Father Romuald D'Souza, director, to review the functioning of the XLRI, and we had a committee for future directions. We had members like Father Megrath, Prakash Tandon at the time on the board of XLRI, Father Theo Matthias, and myself and a few other members. We submitted the report, and later we were asked by St. Joseph's Group of Institutions in Bangalore and Mount Carmel Group, both in Bangalore and Mysore, to review their institutions. A few years later, I happened to review the NEPA, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, on behalf of the Ministry of HRD. And we had members like the director from International Institute of Educational Planning from Paris to be a member, plus some members from the HRD ministry and a few other professors. Much later, sometime in early part of 2000, when I started my company called TV Rao Learning Systems, we were requested by Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation to review the project impact, whether the funds that are being given to technical institutions are being utilized well or not, identify the factors that are contributing to this, and give recommendations so that they can select appropriately the institutions to be aided subsequently. The World Bank, the Government of India, and the Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation, I'm sure, found this useful, and later they requested me to even evaluate the program they were running in Vietnam with the Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation. Friends, I have given all these details because I think this is the basis on which I am suggesting now that it is very important, extremely critical for institutions who have lived up to a particular point of time to constitute review committees In the olden days, we used to call them evaluation committees, but now it is much more acceptable to be called as a review committee, or in Ahmedabad, they used to call it Committee for Future Directions. In fact, in Ahmedabad, I am every 5 years at the time of the change of the director, 6 months before his tenure gets over, director used to appoint a committee for future directions to review the directions of the institute and suggest for the future so that the incoming director gets socialized into this. Well, a practice may not have been continued the same way as it was originally conceived, but we have found these review committees to be very good exercises. They provide a lot of insights, a third agency point of view, and set good directions for the future. From each one of the experiences, I can tell you how our evaluations or reviews have been utilized in setting new directions. Just to illustrate, I am Ahmedabad's faculty development program, which was started in late 70s, owes its existence to this Committee for Future Directions. Like that, the management education program, which was started, also owes its to the Committee for Future Directions. A lot of innovations have taken place. So my recommendation to institutions, any educational institution, be it a university or a research institute or an academic institute or a professional body like NIPM, ISTD, NHRDN or AIMA or local management associations or its chapters and so on. It's very important once in 5 years, if not 5 years, at least in 10 years, you must get yourself reviewed by an external agency. I don't mean consultants. External agency means people external to the system at that point of time. It could include the past members, senior faculty, or senior members who are aware of the institution, the current members, the beneficiaries, representatives of some critical stakeholders, and I would say a group of interdisciplinary people, management consultants, strategy consultants, technology consultants, finance and management accountants, including, I think, chartered accountants and so on. So you should have an interdisciplinary team, irrespective of the nature of your organization, to be constituted to review this. So it is very, very important to have this. Now there are a few guidelines. Guideline number 1, you should be very clear of the purpose when you appoint this committee. The purpose could be setting future directions, or the purpose could be to improve management practices currently, various systems and subsystems, how they are impacting in achieving the goals and objectives of the organization, and improve internal efficiencies and also improve maybe external impact and so on. So the purpose has got to be largely future driven, or at best I think improvements in the current systems and so on. But the purpose of the review has to be stated. I find Dr. Vijay Govindarajan's 3-box theory to be very useful. 3-box theory really says that you should focus a part of your effort on the future and also selectively forget the past and manage the present well. I think that is he gives interesting formula 70-20-10, but that is up to you to work out. But I think any review mechanism should focus on the future to manage the present better, and also to forget and drop some of the program that you are going on and things like that. The second important point in managing review committees is to be sure about the kind of interdisciplinary theme that you have. It's very important to have the right people to constitute the review committee or review team. You can have people who are familiar with the organization, or you can have people who are not familiar with the organization. It really doesn't matter. The person should have be a visionary, should be able to understand and appreciate the mission with which the organization or the agency would have been started, and the person, most importantly, should be able to give time. So the person should himself or herself be a visionary and give time and devoted to the review, because remember, anybody who coordinates or chairs is doing a great degree of service to the institution or to the organization or to the agency. Then make sure to have some financial specialists, because most organizations have resource management related issues. So you should have preferably a chartered accountant or a finance and account specialist who can look deeper into the financial management parts of it. Then you need to have somebody who is very good at systems and process. A person with organization development experience who can look at systems and process, I think, should be there. In the technology world, a representation of the IT specialist is very welcome. These people can help in a big way in terms of contributing to this. Strategic thinker, leadership person, and so on. And you should also make sure that the team is diversity is well represented, both in terms of diversity of people come from industry and academics, diversity in terms of genders, diversity in terms of the age group, age profiles, and the type of members that you have, and things like that. So, with these concerns, I think you should form a good interdisciplinary team. Third important point is to have the right mandate set. I think mandate should include what is the duration, what are the resources available, and by which time they should be able to submit the report, and what are the kind of facilities that would be given to them, and so on. So I think you should set this mandate. And if you like, you can also include in the mandate the fourth point that I am mentioning, which is the methodology. Normally, methodology of review includes examination of documents that are available, interviews with select people, those who are current beneficiaries, past beneficiaries, future likely beneficiaries, students, alumni, employers, those people who come to the members of the board, and those who provide funds and resources and things like that. So you can have interviews, you can have questionnaires, you can have examination of the data, and you could also observe some of the things in operation. For example, if I have to evaluate any particular agency, one of the things that most of the professional bodies do is annual conferences. I would make sure to attend one of those conferences, observe from beginning till the end, and make my own observations. Our seminars conducted, podcasts conducted, online programs conducted, all of them in a select way can be. So the methodology can be very comprehensive and include multiple kind of methods. After the methodology, then I think actually the whole question of implementation of the methodology, what kind of support is available, what is the process, and so on. I think it is very important to outline this process, and once you set the time limit, the competencies required to be a good review committee member are provided in a very recent document prepared by one Venkat Shengavalli, who happened to be heading the EMRI 108, which most of you know, as well as many other institutions. I think he has set some interesting kind of guidelines. Then at the end of it, I think after the people conduct their interviews, make their observations, use questionnaires or whatever they want to use, they should be able to submit a report, a comprehensive report with all details. The sixth part, this is very important to have the right kind of a report. Maybe nowadays I think it is fashionable to give PowerPoint reports. The report is an important part of the entire thing because its report is a permanent record. It should be a written kind of a report as far as possible. And then the seventh point I would like to mention is the report should be presented to the top management of the agency, the board of the institute, and as well as some of the important members. If it is a small institution, I would make a presentation to the entire faculty. I remember when I reviewed the PGP of IIM Ahmedabad, we had a committee of 7 people: Professor Balakrishnan, Umakant Srivastava, Professor A.K. Jain, Professor S.C. Kuchal, and a number of others. We decided stage by stage we will make presentations to the faculty, and did a lot of good in terms of presenting to the faculty and so on, because this is one of the reports which was in toto accepted. So it's very important to take the institution along, make presentations. And the last point I'd like to mention, implementation of this. There should be an implementation plan, and it should be agreed upon by the institute once the report is presented to them, to draw up an implementation plan and to monitor the implementation. If you have put in all this effort and you don't implement it, I think it is a energy of everyone wasted. So I would strongly recommend any institution who wants to rejuvenate itself and put itself in the path of excellence to use review mechanisms that I have suggested here, follow some of the guidelines here, and build themselves to the future. It's a wonderful experience. You will enjoy it and you will feel proud. Those leaders who start this will feel proud about the work they have done. All the best.